There's an old video going around the internet, and maybe you've seen it. It's of a little kid sitting right up under the musicians at church, right next to the organ, watching every single move that the musicians' hands do. And you've probably seen that video, but if you're anything like me, you didn't just see it, you were it. Those kids, the ones sitting under the musicians, grew up to be the players. That is how this whole thing has survived for hundreds of years. One generation sitting close enough to the next for them to catch it. So let me ask you a question. Walk into a church today and look around at the band on the stage. Who's sitting up under them? Who's watching their hands? Nobody. And the musicians who carry this craft, the real ones, they're retiring. And I mean right now. This is not a someday problem. This is happening on a clock, and that clock is running out. So last week, I did a video about who killed the black church sound. And a lot of you answered in the comments, and I mean thousands of you. And I read as many as I could. But in all those comments, there was a second story, and it was one I couldn't shake. And honestly, it's heavier than the last one. And I want to read one of the comments that perfectly illustrates what I'm discussing here. So this commenter says, a member's grandson asked me about playing guitar after Sunday service. I told him I'd help him all I could, but it's rare. Maybe it's on me. Perhaps I need to reach out to these young folks. Now watch this. I don't know. I'm retiring. I read that comment and I just sat there for a minute because that comment is the whole problem, summed up in a couple of sentences. I've been a church musician for over 30 years, and I've directed choirs, I've been on teams, I've been on executive boards at churches that made decisions about musicians and all of that. And I'm telling you, this is something that nobody is talking about. So I'm going to show you exactly how this craft used to get passed down. And I'm going to show you the precise moment that chain broke. And I'm going to show you what we lose the day these veteran musicians retire. And the one thing those of us who are still carrying it must do before it's gone for good. So let's start here because this is what nobody realizes. See, this craft was never in a classroom. It wasn't in a curriculum, and it wasn't in a textbook. It got passed down by one thing: proximity. You got close enough to watch the hands Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and it just soaked in. There's another comment that was left on my previous video that illustrates this perfectly. This commenter says, I used to sit behind the organ from age 4. I got to the point to where our minister of music felt compelled to give me lessons. And those lessons lasted until I graduated and turned into a 40-year tutelage. 40 years. And it started with just a kid sitting behind the organ. Another commenter said, and I absolutely love this one. He says, my small Deep South church, they would let me sit on the front row when the singing groups came. I learned a lot just sitting there, listening, watching the finger movements of the guitar players. Watching the finger movements. That's it. That's the secret. See, it was an apprenticeship that was disguised as kids just hanging around. Nobody signed up for it and nobody got a certificate for it. A kid lingered, a veteran noticed it, and a 40-year tutelage happened, and nobody even planned it. And listen, that's how every real craft used to work before there were schools for it. The blacksmith had his kid in the shop and he stayed around and he learned the craft. The mother had her daughter by the stove and she learned how to cook. You learn the thing by standing next to the person who knew the thing. So hold on to that word, proximity, because that is the one thing we lost. So if that's how it worked, kid sits close, watches hands, catches it, then this is the moment that whole thing broke. The organ bench or piano bench got replaced. And the moment it disappeared, so did the thing to sit close to. Because you can't sit up under a laptop, there's no finger movements to watch on a track. The kid who would have been on the front row watching the musicians is now watching a screen, and the screen doesn't let you pull up a chair. I'll read you another comment that illustrates this point perfectly as well. This commenter says the old head B3 players didn't pass it down to a group, they passed it down to one student. And in 2026, we don't have but a small remnant of folks who can play like that. Now we got optimization compensating for the lack of skill set. Optimization compensating for the lack of skill set. Write that one down. And here's what I need you to catch. Nobody cut the chain. There's no bad guy standing around with a pair of scissors. The conditions that made the handoff possible just quietly disappeared. No bench, no proximity. No proximity, no apprentice. No apprentice, no next link. The chain didn't snap, it just stopped getting made. Now, before I show you what we actually lose when this happens, if you came up as a musician like I just described, sitting under someone who just knew, leave a comment and shout out who your person was you were sitting under. I want to read all of those comments, and I'll put mine down there as well. All right, here's what's at stake. So when people say we're losing tradition, it sounds kind of vague, right? It sounds really soft. Well, let me make it really specific so we can understand what it really is. We're losing knowledge that lives in nobody else's hands but theirs. There's another commenter that said, most young players are clueless about the complicated extended chord substitutions in traditional black gospel music. Tell that kid the song is a A minor 7 flat 5 and he'll look at you like a deer in the headlights. And there's another comment that was left that I absolutely love. And he says, we need to teach the nuances. We're not training up masters anymore. See, the craft was never written down. It's not in a book and it's not in some course that you can buy. The substitutions, the reading the room, the filling the moment, or modulating up a half step when it calls for it, all in the moment, all by ear, that is something that lives only in living memory. I told you in my last video that every veteran musician who gets phased out is a library being closed. But here's the part I didn't say. These libraries don't get archived. When one of these veteran musicians retires and he hasn't handed it down to someone else, all of that vocabulary doesn't go on a shelf somewhere. It's just gone permanently. We don't lose access to it. We lose existence of it. Now, some of you are already typing it. I can see it. You're saying, Terence, well, you can't teach people who don't want to be taught. And there was another comment that said something about that on my last video. He says the younger group is much more DIY centered, not so interested in instruction. And you know what? There's some truth to that. I feel it too. But here's where I'm going to push back on you a little bit. You don't blame a kid for not wanting to learn a language that nobody around him speaks. The young musicians, or the YMs, as I called them in my last video, they're not refusing the craft. They were just handed a world where this craft looked irrelevant. And that's because nobody ever really took the time to show them what they were missing. And the humility that it takes to sit down and be a student, that shows up when someone shows you something that's worth being humble for. And that part, that's not on the kid. That's on us. So what do we do about all of this? Well, 3 things, and they're really simple. Not easy, but simple. Number 1 is find your one. See, the chain was never a big movement. It wasn't a big program. It was one student, one bench. Remember what that commenter said earlier? They passed it down to one student. So you don't need a school. You just need one kid. And it's the one kid who always seems to linger a bit after church. The one who every now and then just asks some questions about the music. It's that one church member's grandson who always wants to come up after church and grab the drumsticks and start playing on the drums really loud. So the move is this. Just say yes to the kid that's sitting right in front of you. You don't need a budget, you don't need a title, and you don't need anyone's permission. You just need that one kid, a bench, and a yes. Number 2, let them sit close again. Recreate the proximity. So call one of the young kids up to sit next to you on the piano stool or the organ bench and let them watch your hands. That's how so many bass players and drummers and keys and organ players, including myself, learned. So stop guarding the piano bench and the organ bench like it belongs to you only. Share it with those kids in the room, because the thing you're protecting dies if you keep protecting it that way. The only way it survives is if you allow someone close enough to catch it and take on the reins and move it forward. Now, number 3, and this is a big one. Teach the unteachable on purpose and do it now. Here's what's changed. The stuff that used to get passed down by osmosis, like the feel, the substitutions, the reading the room and all of that, it doesn't get passed down by accident anymore, because the conditions that made that transfer through osmosis possible no longer exist. So now it has to be deliberate. So name that chord out loud. Let them know why you modulate it. Show that little kid the substitution and make him play it back to you. The osmosis era is over, and the intentional era has to start, or it ends with you. So let me tell you the true cost of all of this. I got a little bit of a homework assignment for you. I want you to go to my last video and read the comments on that video. Just take a few minutes and do it. You will see all over that video things like people saying, I'm 65, I'm 66, I'm 68, and I'm retiring. That's not a coincidence. That's the clock. These are the last people who are carrying this craft, and they're telling you in real time and in their own words that that clock is running out of time. Because here is what you really are. Whether anybody ever told you or not, you are not just a musician. You're the last copy of a book that was never written down. And when the last copy closes without someone reading it first, that book is just gone. Not lost, but gone forever. And there's no other copy to go find. The survival of this whole tradition, that's bigger than you. And one person can't carry all that. I know that. But here's a smaller question, and one that's entirely yours. Every single person who has ever taught you was once standing exactly where you're standing right now, holding something in their hands that they could either keep to themselves or pass on. And they passed it on. And that's the only reason you have it in your hands today. So when it's your turn, and it's your turn right now, are you a link in the chain, or are you the place where the chain ends? Somebody in my comments told me to stop asking who killed it and start helping to revive it. Well, this is that. This is me helping to revive it. And the revival doesn't start with some big movement. It starts with one veteran simply pulling up a chair. There's a kid in your church right now who would say yes if you offered. So the chain isn't broken yet. It's just waiting for you to reach back. I'll see you in the next video.